All right, what's in the news?
What's in the news is, thank God we have a First Amendment here, which does not mean that you can block traffic, throw Molotov cocktails at ICE agents, or deface public property. But it does protect you from bigoted and discriminatory jokes, unlike in Brazil, where there's this guy, Leo Lins. He's been sentenced to 8 years and 3 months in prison by a Sao Paulo judge, according to Euroweekly News. The judge called Lynn's comedy bigoted and discriminatory against minority and vulnerable groups before convicting him of practicing and inciting racism and religious prejudice. But get this, my brain went to, because Brazil can be pretty dang lefty. Remember the whole fight between them and Elon Musk over X?
Yes.
Because there's a growing group of people on the right in Brazil. Years ago, I don't know if this is still the case because I haven't worked there since 2020, but...
You worked there?
No, I was going to say, when I worked at Daily Wire and PragerU, but that was like way back in 2020. Oh. Outside of the United States, Brazil was the biggest country of viewers and subscribers.
Interesting.
It is a massive country, and I think that there's something that appeals to people about like freedom and independence and conservative thought down there. But apparently he wasn't just joking. So your mind might go to, oh, he was just cracking like trans jokes, right? Nope. In the show, he made jokes about Black people, obese individuals, elderly people, those living with HIV, homosexuals, evangelicals, indigenous communities, people from the impoverished northeast of Brazil, Jews, and people with disabilities. Jeez. So he ticked off like everybody. You, me, like everybody, and he still gets 8 years in prison for this?
My first 20 minutes of my set is about the impoverished people of northeast Brazil, so I better bite my tongue now, or this guy ripped me off. He went full Carlos Mencia on my ass. Okay, everyone. I do not know why we think in the year 2025, any of this kind of semi-quasi-socialist, whatever, lefty, whatever, it just fails. It just fails.
Yeah.
So why do we even think a version of it is good? Why do we even think parts of it are good? It's so weird. You take one of these countries, they prosper, and then they go hard left and into some sort of socialism, and then 8 years later, people are eating out of dumpsters, and their currency is worth zero.
Yeah, I think...
Is there no lesson that humanity ever learns?
I feel like also comedy is the freedom fighter in a lot of ways. Like, I don't understand Portuguese, so I haven't watched his stand-up, but like, if you are offended by something or you don't find something funny, just don't watch it, don't engage in it, don't fund it, right? And yes. I think that people, just the ability to like, you can put the phone down, like you can turn off the television, you cannot pay for the ticket to his comedy show. And that there's this element of like, even if it's someone that you've never engaged with before, if there's enough people outraged, then just everybody becomes outraged, and cancellation is just like what has to be done. Is that maybe just forget about the person and move on with your life.
Anything that falls under the umbrella of comedy should be a no-fly zone for any censorship or any governmental whatever.
But you have to have like ingrained protections for that, which we do here in the United States, and they don't have them there. I know,
because if I say, if your kid comes in and he runs to the kitchen and he knocks over a glass of milk and you go, you little scamp, I'm going to kill you. Get back here. Then that's nothing. But if I go, I'm going to kill you, then it's something. So what is it? Well, one is said with comic intent or at least exaggerated intent. Mm-hmm. And then the other, then there's a version of it that is leaving a message on your ex-girlfriend's, phone saying you're going to kill her tonight. You know what I mean? So what is it? Is it the words? Well, it's not the words. I'm going to kill you and I'm going to kill you are the same. That's the same sentence. It's who said it, what was the inflection, and what was the intent. And once you get on stage at a comedy club and you hold a microphone, then it's all comedy. And so there's nothing you can say.
Even I remember years ago going through like HR when I was doing a radio show and by podcasting more frequently. And the HR person was like, the legal person that they brought in to talk to all the talent essentially said the same thing. It's like, if someone who is my boss or my colleague said something explicit or I could potentially be offended by or view as harassment, if it was behind a mic, it was different than if it was like in a meeting with the board of directors or something.
Right.
That there is a level of even legally protection when it is supposed to be out there on the airwaves in the free market for people to do.
I mean, it's
now
like,
as a woman that can get iffy because if you come in every single day and it's like, you're a bitch, you're a whore, like every 5 seconds, every single day, and that's the bit, and you say I'm not comfortable with it.
I was kidding. And people know I have a little blue streak, but it's a term of endearment for me. But you were a little bit late, bitch. So, okay, but I get your message.
You know what
I'll
I mean?
back it off.
No. I'm saying that, like, I get that there can be a gray area there specifically, but broadly, it's like if I'm watching a comedy special and I don't like love every bit of the comedy, I turn to my husband and I'm like, do you think this is funny? If he says yeah, we might keep watching. If he says no, then we'd switch to something else. And it's like, but in countries like Brazil or in the European Union, you've seen people that get in London. Like a woman was arrested for praying outside of an abortion clinic. Like, thank God that doesn't happen here.
Yeah, and I'll circle back to London. But yes, I endlessly do not understand. You know, I think about it was like if Ben Shapiro goes to Stanford to give a speech and then they got to shut the place down and get the riot gear out. And it's like I went and looked at the lineup, so to speak. I once, years ago, just as an experiment, Cal Berkeley. Student union activities or whatever. It's like Saturday. They had Te Amo Sopapos, which is the Mexican folk band who was going to play in the quad. And I would go, well, I'm not going to that. I don't like that shit, you know? And then later on, they had some woman who's going to speak on lesbian theory and have a symposium. And I would just look at it on the schedule and go, well, I don't want to hear her talk about whatever shit she's talking about for an hour. I'm not going to that. But it's the same with the movie theater. It's like, this Mission Impossible 5. Okay, I'll check that out.
Or even when you go to like Target or the mall to buy something. I'm going to shop at this store and not this store.
Yeah.
But that's the mindset.
So Ben Shapiro is coming to your campus to give a speech.
So what? Who cares?
You're not interested in that. You don't like what he has to say.
Yeah.
Fine. Don't go.
Yep.
Don't go. Why?
Yep.
What's that? Why is that different than the lesbian who's going to speak to the student union?
They probably forced you to go though, like because this
lesbian,
is what.
Yeah, they probably forced you to.
It's like you can't. You'd have a professor that would give you extra credit if you chose to go to that versus if you chose to go see Ben Shapiro.
But we're all just on the sidewalk of life, and we're looking up at the marquee, and we're going, Mission Impossible 5 or Moonlight 2. I'm going to go with Mission Impossible, but I'm not going to burn down the theater that plays the one I don't want to see. And I think this is really what we're talking about here, which is folks like you and folks like me, we just want to be left alone.
That'd be nice.
But you won't do it. You won't let us be alone. Everything's got to be everything. And then once you get in everyone's face, now it's on. But it doesn't need to be on. I just want to go hear what Ben Shapiro has to say at Stanford. That's all.
Do you ever want to hear what Gavin Newsom has to say?
Yeah. It's weird because he doesn't say anything, but he does have a couple of there's a couple of versions. There's like compassionate Gavin Newsom, and then there's the one that trots out damn and hell.
Yeah, he's so serious. He's got to curse a little bit.
I'm angry. These damn people are trying to make a living. Okay? Hell, I'm sorry, but damn, these people are trying to make a damn living here, and they're being thrown out. And I love when everything for him is about some sort of weird chick emotion. They're being humiliated. They're being spat upon. They're being told they're lesser. They're being told it's like, no, they're not. They're either legal or illegal or whatever the hell. He's been in here. He's a kind of litmus test to see if you're a fucking retard or not. Because if you like Gavin Newsom, something is wrong. You don't detect regular human emotion and stuff.
Oh, but here's the problem: apparently we have the audio of this, but apparently said I like Newsom, but he thinks that Tom Homan should arrest him. So Tom Homan is the border czar. I feel like this is him trolling. By the way,
I love when Trump slides in his bullet train and everything. It's a little...
He does it.
I know. It's kind of it's an interesting technique because he just takes a colossal, embarrassing failure of Gavin Newsom and then just slides it in a little. All right, we'll watch. Sorry. Ducey's going to ask him at the helicopter.
Gavin Newsom he's daring Tom Homan to come and arrest him. Should he do it? I would do it if I were Tom. I think it's great. Gavin likes the publicity, but I think it would be a great thing. He's done a terrible job. Look, I like Gavin Newsom. He's a nice guy, but he's grossly incompetent. Everybody knows. All you have to do is look at the little railroad he's building. It's about 100 times over budget. We're putting a flagpole over there. Under budget.
Under budget flagpole. All right. The point. It's so masterful because if somebody
train.
No, what he does do it, he goes, I like the guy. See, it's smart because if you go, fuck that guy's a douche, then whatever you say afterward falls under the heading of, well, he doesn't like the guy.
Yeah.
But you go, I like the guy. So he breaks it off. He sets it up.
Yes.
Then he mows him down, right? He does 3 stages. We're gonna look at that one more time.
Is this a craft in like political comedy here too?
Yes,
It really is. It's like a lesson.
You go, I like the guy, but he's incompetent. And then he pauses and he goes, everyone knows it. And then you go, I guess so. And now it's codified, and now we just move on.
Yeah.
It cuts to the quick because if I said, if I was putting together a writer's room and they were like, we need writers for the writer's room, how about Eddie Gordetsky? I'd go, fuck that fat douche. I never want to see him again. He fucked my girlfriend. Then you'd go, but you'd go, well, that guy's funny, but he fucked Adam's girlfriend, so he can't be. But if I went, I like Eddie Gordetsky.
Yeah.
He's just unfunny and horrible.
Yeah.
Then that's where the real slight comes in. All right, one more time, just so we can go to classic politician school, and then I'll bring up some embarrassing thing, and I'll do it in demeaning ways. Little choo-choo train.
Gavin Newsom he's daring Tom Homan to come and arrest him. Should he do it? I would do it if I were Tom. I think it's great. Gavin likes the publicity, but I think it would be a great thing. He's done a terrible job. Look. I like Gavin Newsom. He's a nice guy, but he's grossly incompetent. Everybody knows. All you have to do is look at the little railroad he's building. It's about 100 times over budget. We're putting a flagpole over there. Under budget.
It's the hand motions too. By the way, I love how he actually my favorite part is when he calls out Gavin for liking the publicity.
Yeah.
Because it's 1,000% true. That man loves himself a red light.
Well, and also, you never want this, but I've spent time with Gavin Newsom. He is a nice guy who's just fucking competent, or he subscribes to some fantasy thought.
He has a way of, I haven't met him in person, but he has a way, whether it's like you, Trump, Hannity, Rick Caruso, everybody who interacts with him, his ex Kimberly Guilfoyle, everybody that interacts with him, they like still personally like him.
Yeah,
and I think that maybe, no offense, guys, maybe that's why he's been able to get away with so much.
Look.
Because he just shifts his narrative, and he's like, I like Donald Trump. Remember during the fires when Trump came out? Mm-hmm. And Newsom said the same thing. He's like, well, I want to work with the president. I like the president. But then now he's putting in all the saline, pretending like he's crying while he's talking about ICE raids.
Well, it's kind of the difference between the right and the left. I do not assume that Anderson Cooper's a bad person.
True.
He's just lying and carrying some party line, you know? And if everyone on CNN during COVID, Chris Cuomo's not a bad person. Like, I would never, they think Tucker Carlson's a bad person. That's the difference. They're somehow, because they have sort of juvenile brains, and they also work in a weird fantasy comic book land where it's like everyone's evil. Like, in Disney movies, the evil guys, he kicks the dog on the way to wanting to burn the town down. What they don't realize is evil guys love their dogs, they love their kids, they're fine, and then they do evil, but they do a cartoon version of evil. They think Trump and Tom Homan and anyone they disagree with is like evil as well as disagreeing with them. the people on the right don't feel like any of these people are evil. We just think they're sort of misguided and wrong-headed.
And misinformed and over-emotional and not looking at all the facts.
And Newsom knows what he's doing. And I do not think he really cares about California. He's just playing to his constituency. But we have a clip of him doing that. He's
doing the sincere.
This is well.
Is
it's
this
a little
sincere. Or his angry.
It gets a little. This is angsier. It's a little angry and a little sincere. And this is. I mean, hopefully, he uses damn or hell. That's when he says damn or hell. That's what he means.
Poor people are just trying. Get your hands off these poor people. They're just trying to live their lives, man. Trying to live their lives, paying their taxes. Been here 10 years. The fear. The horror. The hell is this guy?
What the
Come after
hell?
me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with.
I'm a martyr.
Tough
guy.
You know, I don't give a damn. But I care about my community.
Hell and
damn.
this
community.
Yeah, that means he's.
The hell are they doing?
Hell!
These guys need to grow up. They need to stop. And we need to push back. And I'm sorry to be so clear, but that kind of bloviating is exhausting.
Bloviating.
So, Tom, arrest me.
What kind of
Let's
bloviating?
go.
Hell.
Okay,
Hell,
by the way,
these people just trying to serve ice cream to kittens be left alone to serve sherbet to kitchen to hell, man. You come busting in there in their pantry when they're trying to give kittens ice cream, kick the door in. What the? Living in fear, living in shame, looking over their shoulder. That's just, people are just here, man. They're just here being.
Speaking of manufactured, though, like he's talking
just
about
here. Yeah, they snuck illegally here. You fucking retard. What do you think? They're just here.
So you know that number actually of illegal immigrants and their effect on the U.S. economy and the workplace nationwide is less than 4%. In California, I think it's significantly more.
Oh yeah,
just based on the fact that it's agriculture and construction are two major infrastructures here that we have to help the economy. But talking about manufactured stuff. This comment, the MSNBC reporter there asked him about, that's not Kornacki. What's that kid's name? Is that the Kornacki guy? Is that with the glasses?
I don't know who that is.
So Newsom made this comment after Homan quote unquote threatened to arrest him and Mayor Bass. But here's the thing. Here's the thing that Homan actually said. He would only arrest them if they interfered with ongoing immigration enforcement operations. So that would mean like he and Karen would have to be down there with the Molotov cocktails. And then MSNBC takes that, like, amps it up, asks Newsom about it. And then next thing you know, you have the leader of the free world responding with the best burn ever. I love that Trump is like.
They're the grossest. We're living in the time, which is crazy, which is intentional, volitional misunderstanding of what people are saying. So they go, and by the way, it always means your point is shit when you have to use a ton of hyperbole.
Yes.
Meaning, if you say to me, what's going on in LA or what's going on in California, I go, well, paying too much in taxes, roads are shit, traffic everywhere, and it's a trashy town. I'm done. It's accurate. That's my feelings. But when you start using hyperbole, like when Hobby Lobby says, we're not paying for the pill.
Yep. Or abortion.
And then you go, you want to deny women health care? Yeah, she wants to go in and get a mammogram, and I'm going to block the entrance to the hospital. No, I'm not denying women health care. I'm saying I'm not paying for the pill. They want to pay for it. They can go buy the pill.
Yep.
But that's not denying health care to people. And when you go, we're going to come in there and we're going to arrest illegal criminals, and you go, coming in, unmarked vans, snatching people off the street and disappearing them.
At Home Depot and an elementary school, which never actually happened.
That's not what anyone ever said. But the fact that you need to use hyperbole all the time means you're bullshitting us.
Yes.
That means you don't have a story.
And I think that the data shows that broadly the American people understand that we're being bullshitted.
Yeah. Well, they should wake up a little. I mean, but it's like when I go, LA's a garbage city. There's full of garbage. Everyone tags everything. I don't say the mayor came to my home and tagged the side of my house.
Yeah.
I just go, there's graffiti everywhere.
Yeah.
But I'm making
Could we
my
rein that
point.
in a little bit? Like, could we go back to like the late 90s, early 2000s of New York and apply what Rudy and Bratton did there to LA and maybe start arresting people or stopping them when they're, doing graffiti all over public and private property?
Well,
Because turns out
Yeah.
they're probably with Lenox Hill or MS-13.
Karen Bass did this thing where they come up, they go, first off, they love an acronym. Like they go, now, when we unleash the SHINE program to clean up LA, SHINE means sing, her. It's like, okay, your stupid little acronyms never fucking fix anything.
Just fix the streets.
They like a little LA SHINE.
Yep.
We had the SHINE program, and we got together with small business owners, and we got together with union leaders and church officials. I got a better plan. How about you tell deadbeat dads to hang around and raise their fucking teenage boys? How about that, bitch? How about you tell dads? How about you say the one thing that would fix all of this problems? Dad, you're the disciplinarian. Hang around. Raise your goddamn teenage son.
Yeah.
Let him know between right and wrong. He's not going to be out at 2 a.m. tagging freeway overpasses because you're at home and you want to know where he is and he's not leaving the house after the streetlights come on. How about dads do their job, and then we wouldn't need all the cleanup crews and the SHINE program and all the other bullshit. They'll talk about everything
But the root problem.
but the root problem, which is dad, except for other times they like the root problems. When Kamala Harris is going to go to the Triangle countries and go find the root problems of illegal immigration. I'll be in San Salvador for a couple of weeks looking for migrants. Yeah, they like the root problem. They love the concept of the root problem, never when it becomes judging their constituency.
Because the root problem in their mind is actually like the systemic racism of the country and people like you and me and a lot of your audience that thinks that there's an important element of independence and free thinking, right?
Yes.
So we are the root problem, not a broken family,
look,
not a broken society.
We gave 2 beer. Listen, I had Gavin Newsom in here once, and I said, dads. I mean, you can actually now, Dawson, you got to go find this thing. The part where I said, dads, and it's a marvelous exploration of the human mind to interview Gavin Newsom. It's exquisite.
I don't know if
it
I
should
could
be
do it,
studied.
man.
He'll go in a circle. He'll circle
Yep.
as many times as you want. I said, dads, we need more dads. And he's like, oh, yeah, but there's lots of it. They always do that. What about the other brother? About systemic racism? Like, dads. What about systemic? What about predatory check cashing
mean
places?
real
Like,
men?
dads. And then at some point, when you try to nail them down, you go, at some point, they go, of course dads are important. And you go, good. How important? Where are they? Top 5? No, there's just a lot. He will never.
They'll give you a hard answer.
He can't judge his group because his group doesn't want to be judged. And basically, if you're fat, you don't want someone telling you to put the donut down, but it's what's good for you.
Yep.
Okay, you guys find that. I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to be in Salt Lake City this weekend, Friday and Saturday, doing 2 shows. Wise
fun.
guys. Oh, yeah. Listen to me bloviate in person, everybody. And the next weekend, I'm going to be at Jimmy Kimmel's Club over there in Las Vegas. And that's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So there's going to be a lot of the Ace Man on the road. Newsom and dads. It's somewhere in the middle of that thing.
Well, he did the same thing during the presidential race. You know how the Republicans always do a debate up at the Reagan Library? Mm-hmm. And he was in the spin room afterwards at the Reagan Library, and he was talking to, like, Hannity. And Sean asked him about, like, the wildlife bridge that they're building out, like, in Calabasas or Woodland Hills or wherever.
We have to build
a bridge for the animals to cross.
$50 million wildcat bridges that go over the 405 so wildcats can go fuck on the other side of the 405.
Because they haven't figured out in the last 50
Or maybe
years how to cross traffic.
go eat a crane on the other side.
Bengal tiger.
Right.
And so he did the same thing with Sean in that interview. And my husband and I were just like, Are you kidding me? Like slack-jawed, like what the heck? Where Sean was like, so what about this bridge for the animals and how much is it costing? And he did the same thing. He just circles around all these things of how important wildlife is, but also how important development is, and also how this, and also how this. And then he never actually answers the question.
It's so...
He's kind of gifted at it, which is why I'm terrified of that man running for president.
It is, but if you set him down in the studio and you lock the door, he's not so gifted because he can do it on TV. Because what ends up happening is the moderator in the debate is a lefty.
Of course, yeah.
And
well, like that MSNBC clip.
Yes, it's NPR chick, and she's going to be fair and balanced or something. But when you start to chase him around, like, oh, can we get back to race? Can we get back to the subject of race?
Yeah.
Let's please, moving on. If you got that bitch traffic copping for you, you'll never get nailed down. You got to come in here and close the door, and I will nail you down, and then you will sound like a retarded man.
I actually think it would be interesting to see him on the campaign trail because he is such like a Bay Area rich brat.
Yeah.
That to see him with some farmers in Iowa or some like retired people in New Hampshire, I don't know. I hope he can't cut it. I hope he cannot deceive the country like he has the voters of California. But also, can I rant for a moment?
Yeah.
Just a second.
Give me a thumbs up when you find the dance.
I know, because we want to talk about
toward the end. Toward the end of my interview with him.
If all the people who voted for Donald Trump in 2020 had voted to recall Gavin Newsom, he would not be our governor right now in California.
If all the people in California that voted.
The same people in California who voted for Donald Trump.
You said all the people who voted for
Yeah, so specifically in California.
Number.
Yeah, you're right. Specifically in 2020 here in California. California votors that voted for Donald Trump. If they had signed and voted in the recall, he would not be our governor.
Wow. So we got to motivate people.
Exactly.
And activate. Could have had.
How about the dads?
Could have had the sage from South Central.
Oh,
Larry Elder. I love Larry Elder. Although, when the LA Times informed me that he was the new black face of white supremacy,
you believed him?
I was worried. I was like, Larry, have you joined the Klan or the Proud Boys?
Okay?
Are you okay?
Are you okay? You carrying those torches in Charlottesville?
You are a black man from South Central. When did you turn racist? According to the LA Times, it's when you wanted people to pay less in taxes.
Yes.
Then you become racist.
Do you know Winsome Sears is the lieutenant governor, black woman, served in the military. She's amazing. She's the lieutenant governor of Virginia, and she just released an ad, and the left is saying that she's now racist because she wants to get rid of the car tax.
Yeah,
and I'm like, how is that racist?
I love the fact, well, anybody who disagrees with them is racist, which is, at a certain point, you have to realize is way too thin now, and you've used it too many times, and it doesn't have any meaning anymore, and nobody cares anymore. Like, if I heard CNN say somebody was racist, I just laugh. I don't even care anymore. You're now calling black people racist, and it's done. You've overused it. It's sort of comical. It's always my favorite Dave Rubin thing, who used to be with the Young Turks and is like gay and Jewish and from New York and very liberal. And I always say to these people, when did you make the transition into like a conservative-minded guy? And he always goes, after I realized that everybody who disagreed with us was somehow racist. And it's like...
that doesn't make sense.
It could be on tariffs. It could be on the Middle East. It could be on fuel prices. It could be... taxes. It could be the green movement. But everyone was just racist who disagreed with anything you were talking about.
Yep.
And he's intellectually mature enough to realize that was probably mathematically impossible.
He just did a great event at UATX, and he talked about when Larry, the sage from South Central, was on his show, and he was like, here I had a conservative black man telling me why conservatives weren't racist, and it was kind of like mind-blowing to me. And I appreciate that about Dave, that he has that cognitive ability to recognize that.
I'll play you a little Gavin Newsom and me arguing about the importance of dads.
You want to no, but you want to talk
about families.
But I understand that families are incredibly important. That's certainly part of it.
Yeah,
and people have to be
very
responsible.
small part of it. It's minuscule.
It's a big part of it.
Oh, big.
It is a big.
Oh,
part.
well, why
But all
don't you
these
guys
things
talk
are
about
part of
that
it.
then? If it's a big part,
I just brought it up.
If it's a big part. It's a big part. It's a big part that you never talk about.
I do talk about.
No
I
one
talk
on your
about
side
this.
talks about that big part.
I think President Obama himself brings it up over and over
Yeah.
again. Go back to his campaign speeches.
Sure.
He's given some remarkable speeches on the importance of fathers in the context of the African American.
You got to be a hero.
struggle.
You got to be a hero to raise your kid.
No, well, you have to be responsible.
It takes courage to raise a kid. I heard his speech. It takes courage, Gavin.
I don't know about courage.
That's what your president said.
No, but to his credit,
let's hear
given
what he
some
says.
eloquent speeches.
Let's hear what he says. It says it takes courage.
And will work to strengthen families by removing the financial deterrence to marriage for low-income couples, and do more to encourage fatherhood. Because what makes you a man isn't the ability to conceive a child.
That's right.
It's having the courage to raise one.
Courage.
Yeah, I don't know if I get your point,
courage.
but at least he made the point that I imagine you accept that it's easy to have one.
Yes.
But you've got to actually step up and be a man and actually raise one. And he probably used. I think that's what
Gavin,
ultimately.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Anybody can eat at an IHOP. It takes courage to pay the bill.
I don't.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It takes
By the way,
courage to stay there and pay that bill.
This is the president has spoken not at his State of the Union, as you just exampled, but he's spoken about this in much more comprehensive and eloquent terms.
Yeah.
And I think powerfully so.
Yeah.
And I think principally so. The issues,
This is his latest one.
But we want to go to the issue of race as it relates to the issues of poverty and what we had in the redevelopment agencies and concentration of poverty in public housing and all of these things start to lead to why. The answer to your question of why is it concentrated in the African American community?
Why?
Looking at that history, one cannot exclude that reality. I just think that's naive to suggest that those things don't matter when families were broken up.
How about the Jews? No problems in the past?
No, of course. Every community's got their struggles.
Who's had it worse?
Even the Irish had struggles.
Who do you think had it worse?
I get it. But
what about the Jews? They seem to be. Why are the Jews doing well?
You know what? In
Why?
1967, blacks couldn't even marry whites in this country. Not 1927. In 16 states, they were denied because people use religious arguments to deny people
Jews
interracial
got put in
marriage.
ovens and
I understand,
incinerated.
and it's disgraceful.
Okay, so
and that's why, and it's completely fair game.
How
we
are
can
the
talk
Jews
about
doing
that.
now?
I mean, a lot of Jewish families doing well. A lot of families struggling.
Oh, you got to keep playing.
Really? Oh, man.
Absolutely.
At the Czech place?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll
go down to the Czech place.
Across the board, people are struggling.
All right,
of
as long
course.
as everyone's
look
struggling
at the
equally.
unemployment lines.
A lot of Jews.
includes Americans of all types, all races, all ethnicities, all sexual orientations.
They're all the same.
My gosh.
That's right.
But, and we could talk about the issues in the Latino community, again, by separating the challenge associated with English as a second language for a lot of folks.
Sure.
The issues of poverty and issues
everyone that
related to
came
that.
here spoke perfect English.
No, I understand that. I got it. I mean, I get your world, Adam, which is a little bit more clean cut and idealistic, a little less pragmatic in terms of the world.
It's wildly pragmatic.
Well,
they have a problem with family. They have a problem with. They don't focus on education. That will get them out of the problem they're in.
On education? I don't think there's any community that cares more about education than the Latino community.
Wow.
I don't know.
Check those test scores.
Asians?
No, people are. I mean, come on. That's not fair.
That's not fair.
Look at this school system.
Scores.
Look how lousy the system is. Look how lousy the system is.
The system sucks,
I don't care who
but it
goes
doesn't
in that
suck
system.
if you have parents that are together and put an emphasis on education.
They care deeply about education. Care deeply about healthcare.
Oh, they care
deeply
about
these
opportunities. Okay. Well, then why do some groups do so much better?
I mean, what do you mean by groups? Almost everybody's struggling.
Groups, I'm telling you.
I love
Everyone
how
is
he
struggling.
I love how he has
struggling.
the ability to change their health care and change the education system.
Yeah, but
and
they're
he
broken.
does nothing.
It's all broken.
To do that.
Yeah. Nobody cares more about education than Hispanics. Do you guys know that?
Except taking more money from unions that, keep paying him off.
He's a fucking idiot. Did you hear him? He doesn't know what he's talking about.
He also uses all of the filler words.
All the filler words.
All the filler words and the like.
Deeply.
You know what that is? That's to buy you more time to think of an answer, Gavin. We see it.
Yes. I came up with a word for it. It's called when politicians, I've learned it from Hakeem Jeffries.
Oh, yes.
When he gets up there and he goes, it is wrong-headed.
Yes.
It is not right. And it is wrong to take away I call it redundant. It's dumb people repeating themselves and being redundant to buy themselves time to think.
I feel like you should put that on a T-shirt. Don't be redundant.
Don't be redundant. No, the aforementioned Ben Shapiro doesn't say the same thing 4 different ways
he's
4
a
times in a
freaking
row.
genius.
Because he's smart.